Tonight on KGW News, a major step forward.
Portland showed up today, and it was for the NBA as well.
As a divided city council kicks off a new phase of negotiations over the future of Moda.
Make no mistake that this is not a good deal, and the public is getting fleeced.
Plus,
I need you to come up with your hands up in here.
how a standoff with an armed suspect ended with a police drone destroyed and a canine injured. Then the total solar eclipse and the teamwork by this Oregon duo that led to the perfect perspective.
It's a pretty amazing experience. It really is.
And later, called a bad commute where a pair of unexpected guests hoofed it onto a TriMet bus. Good evening, everyone. David Molko with you on this Wednesday. We want to get right to breaking news and a significant update on the burned out century-old mill in Northwest Portland, still at imminent risk of collapse. Tonight, the city's saying the railroad Union Pacific ran freight cars containing toxic chemicals, specifically chlorine, within feet of the Centennial Mill site on Tuesday, something the railroad had promised it would not do. A new letter from the city administrator demanding that Union Pacific stop doing so in order to prevent what it says could be catastrophic harm. Union Pacific, for its part, is not denying this happened in what appears to be a direct contravention of a plan it issued this week. In a statement, a spokesperson writing, quote, "Public safety remains our highest priority. We continue to communicate transparently and collaborate closely with the city," going on to say, "We respectfully but urgently request that the city provide a demolition plan and schedule for the Centennial Mill structure without delay," end quote. The railroad did not clarify whether it intends to continue to run cars with toxic or poisonous materials on the tracks along Northwest NATO. According to the city, the building's owner must begin demolition, and it's unclear exactly what that means, by Friday at the very latest. We'll keep you posted. To the future of Moda now, with Portland City Councilors moving forward the term sheet for negotiations to renovate the arena and to secure the Blazers' place in Portland for decades to come. So here is where things shook out after nearly 5 hours. 8 councilors voting yes, 4 voting no, 3 of those up for re-election. We should note the revised framework of sorts also proposing the Blazers pay the city millions in rent every year on top of millions in lieu of property taxes. Evan Waskson takes a look at where things go next.
The resolution as amended is adopted.
Portland City Council approved a term sheet Wednesday, sending the Trailblazers an offer that would pay for a $573 million arena renovation.
Portland showed up today, and it was for the NBA as well. They wanted to see if we were earnest about our approach, if the rhetoric really mattered, and today it just said the term sheet matters, and we got a solid vote to move forward.
The term sheet includes trade-offs. It proposes a 20-year lease that would lock the Blazers into Portland long-term. The city also wants more than $6 million a year back from the Blazers in rent and property tax offset payments that would escalate annually.
Folks want to see a fully activated and vibrant Moda Center, and they want a realistic, practical, good deal for the city in any lease agreement.
Councilors approved the term sheet 8-4 over some strong objections.
But it is still public money. And every dollar that we commit here is a dollar that's not going to be available for parks and housing and public safety and climate investments and filling future budget deficits.
But make no mistake that this is not a good deal, and the public is getting fleeced.
But Council President Jamie Dunphy says it's a fair and balanced offer compared to other arena deals.
There's nothing crazy in this. There's been a narrative that the city council is going to add wacky things in there, and that did not happen. These are all reasonable, negotiated positions that are based off of feedback and individual councilors' research of what is a good deal elsewhere. I feel incredibly strong about the position that we just started our negotiators off with.
Those negotiators hope an approved term sheet will get the Blazers to share detailed information on what the city, state, and county could be buying.
We're not thinking about this as a ceiling or a floor. This is just a position to start from.
Councilor Samir Kanal, who voted in support, says he sees a path forward.
We'll be on our way to a deal that renovates a civic asset in District 2, locks in our oldest professional sports team for a generation to come, creates opportunities for community redevelopment greater than what we already have, protects the public dollar, gets a strong return on investment, honors the will of the voters, and rebuilds the public trust. And I remain optimistic about getting all of that.
City leaders with a message that they'll pay for the Blazers to stay.
So this fight will continue until we secure 20 more years of Rip City in the Rose City.
The Blazers president of basketball operations, Dwayne Hankins, thanked city leaders for their vote and said in a statement, "Our goal remains the same, to reach a deal that allows the Trailblazers to succeed on the court and as a business, supports a thriving Portland economy, and creates a path for the team to remain in Portland for decades to come." There will be public hearings to come, and the next major milestone and any finalized deal will lead up to a vote for Portland City Council on December 17th. Evan Watson reporting.
And as Evan mentioned, now it's on to negotiations with the hope of reaching a final deal by December, at which point City Council will vote again. Look for the latest anytime at KGW.com under the Future of Moda section and on our KGW mobile app. Well, now to an hours-long ordeal in Northwest Portland as police tracked down a man they say was armed with a knife, who's now accused of assaulting a police canine. Catherine Cook was there as it all unfolded. Catherine?
David, a lot of people waiting to get into their homes, with officers trying to help keep them out of harm's way. The police canine is going to be okay. In fact, investigators say he played a big part in getting the suspect into custody.
Push you guys all the way back. This guy's running with a knife and actively trying to stab people.
Cell phone video shows the urgency behind a large police response in Northwest Portland Wednesday. Just before 2, police say they tried to stop a man armed with a knife. They say he was wanted for menacing and property crimes from days before. For neighbors, police issued a shelter-in-place alert around Northwest 18th and Overton, where they believe the suspect was hiding.
Their concern was the knife. If he had a knife before, if he threatened people before, there's always the risk that that could happen again.
Kind of saw the cops running into there, and I saw them chasing somebody.
Alex Williamson lives a block away. He took this video as police closed in on the suspect. Investigators say the man had broken into a vacant basement apartment and refused to come out.
You're on detained. I need you to come up with your hands up in the air.
So they evacuated the 2 women, and then they were all kind of surrounding that house, and that's when they sort of started telling us to back up and to step away.
Police say no bystanders were hurt. For the next 3 hours, officers tried several tactics. Chief Bob Day says in the process, the suspect destroyed a police drone, damaged a robot, and even struck police canine Harkos several times with a metal pipe.
I'm certainly grateful that the canine appears okay.
How'd you finally get him into custody after all that trouble?
The canine is really the canine and the pepper spray is what I understand, but once the canine was able to navigate past the poles, one of the things he's being looked at is for a bite mark.
And that bite mark among uses of force now included in this larger police investigation. Investigators say the suspect was checked out at the hospital as a precaution. They haven't released his name. David.
Glad everyone's okay, more or less there. Thanks, Catherine. Let's talk about wildfire now and the grasshopper fire burning southeast of Mount Hood, which has now destroyed at least 6 homes. Officials say the blaze has charred more than 83,000 acres and it's holding at roughly 20% contained. The fire, which has forced thousands out of their homes or ready to leave at a moment's notice, has also taken a toll on a summertime tradition, with Wasco County forced to cancel the fair that was supposed to start tomorrow. Okay, let's bring in meteorologist Joe Ranieri now, tracking what looks like the return of smoke and haze to the Portland metro. How bad are we talking about, Joe?
It won't be as bad as we saw last week, but we're also tracking not only the smoke and haze that's going to filter in, but also the threat of thunderstorms, which could spark the concern of more wildfires starting along the east side of the state. Let's talk about the smoke real quick first, though, David. It's pretty thin out there right now, but as we put this into motion, you can see early tomorrow morning, we'll start to thicken up a little bit, and then by late morning, early part of the afternoon, we'll kind of see a thin layer of smoke move into the west side of the state. It'll get a little bit thicker, and it's just basically one day. We'll start to see the smoke thin out again going into parts of Friday. But the real concern going into tomorrow is going to be the red flag warning. That's that red color you see throughout the central and eastern side of the state. There's a chance to see some thunderstorms developing by the later part of the afternoon and into the evening, and there's not much precipitation associated with those thunderstorms. So the concern is going to be the dry lightning. So you can kind of see where those thunderstorms will pop up. Pretty quick moving system, but still, nonetheless, if they do spark more wildfires, that's just going to put more resources out there, and we're running very thin on all the resources and the wildfire firefighters who are working out there, across the Pacific Northwest. Going into Friday, there's still another chance to see those thunderstorms develop, and a little bit into Saturday as well. Meanwhile, the west side of the state is going to be relatively calm. Morning clouds followed by afternoon sunshine and very pleasant conditions. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
Yeah, but lightning, wind, and no rain, not a good mix. Thanks so much, Joe. A quick reminder of how you can help the people impacted by the worst wildfire season in Oregon history. Through our Northwest Response Fund, it goes directly to the Red Cross. You can scan the QR code or donate at U.S. Bank branches. And to those of you who've already contributed, really a big, heartfelt thank you. To Hillsboro now, where firefighters rescued a construction worker from a trench this afternoon. This was at Northeast Evergreen and Jackson School. Crews say the person got stuck inside a roughly 14-foot deep trench and suffered potentially life-threatening injuries. The worker was taken by life flight to the hospital. We do not have an update on their condition.